Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Fantasy Goats Draft Process Show. I am your Sheperd. That is the Commissioner Rhino. How
Good
are you
evening. Good
today?
evening.
How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, man. Excited about tonight, man. I'm really excited.
You're excited. I'm excited. We have a packed show. Fantastic guest for everyone this evening. We're going to bring them up right now. Just a few house cleaning notes just to get through before we get this show on the road. Number one, folks, it is the road to 500 subs. Everyone, please give us a like, subscribe to the Goats.
Yes, please.
We got content all off season. It's going to carry us right into the 2025 NFL season, and we're just getting started. That's house cleaning number one. I don't have a number two. Do you have a number two?
No, man. This just enjoy, man.
let's get this show.
Enjoy the conversation. Take notes.
Let's get this show on the road. Let's roll tonight, everybody. We've got the one and only Fantasy Pros in-season analyst. He is the architect of the Fantasy Pros primer. He'll tell you a little bit more about that. And he's the lead NFL rookie analyst, once again, for Fantasy Pros. Without further delay, ladies and gentlemen, we bring you the GOATs. DBRO, Derek Brown, how are you today?
What's going on, boys? Happy Friday. Happy weekend.
Friday.
I don't know if you have little ones like me, but I'm staring down the barrel of spring break week with my kids next week. So RIP my workflow, RIP my productivity. But it's a good time to be talking ball, guys. We got free agency popping. We got rookies. We got combine in the rear view. I mean, dude, this is it. Like, I mean, the league year is here. 2025 season is here. Although it feels like it just stopped last week, right?
Yeah. Some people say there's an off season. I said no. There's an in-between season. There's an in-between season. Ain't no off season, man. It's in-between season, man.
Damn right. I believe that 100%. I feel it too.
Yeah.
D-Bro, for all the goats at home that may not know exactly what you do on a day in, day out basis, please let us know about Fantasy Pros just a little bit. Just give us the nuts and bolts.
So right now, it's all things rookies all the time, all NFL draft. I'm slowly getting into the deeper parts of this class, working closer and closer before the bell rings, the clock strikes midnight, NFL draft is live, and we are staring at picks flying off in the first round. Before that, I will have live on FantasyPros.com my top 100 board, which is basically 100 skill players, all written up, full write-ups, everything. I think I'm about 70 players deep right now. So getting closer and closer to that. We got mock drafts. I'm going to get it in the mock streets when we get a little bit closer to the NFL draft. The Fantasy Pros NFL Draft Show we are in our second season. This is my baby. This is my love letter. This is my thing, man. Really wanted to bring more NFL draft content for Fantasy Pros on the Dynasty side to the airwaves, man. So this is the second year doing it with my co-host Seth Wolcock. It has been freaking fantastic, man. Really good guests, really good people coming on. We just had Eric Edholm from NFL.com talk running backs this week. That's live on the feed as of today, live on YouTube right now. So if you're watching this, go subscribe to the Fantasy Pros YouTube channel. And yeah, dude. I mean, good guests. Going to keep rolling with the NFL Draft Show. The rest of this all the way up to and after the NFL Draft. We'll have a draft grade show and all that kind of good stuff. And yeah, all the content, all the stuff. My positional primers are out at Fantasy Pros right now. So I feel like I've been talking for 5 minutes and plugging my own stuff, and now I'll shut up.
No. We don't want you to shut up. You just mentioned the primer. Tell us about.
Yeah.
Because that, my friend, was your first baby.
Yeah.
Now you have the primer. You're doing the NFL draft process for Fantasy Pros, and now these two babies are kind of like intertwined. So tell us about the primer, because the primer is freaking money.
Oh man. Well, That started. Shout out to former friend Mike Tagliere. That is his baby. And really, I'm just picking up the mantle, man. So I think this upcoming season will be, I think, my 4th year doing the primer. And yeah, it's all the things and all the stuff, covering every single game. Changed up the format a little bit this year, trying to give people, because look, I know in this day and age, everybody wants clean, consistent, easy, actionable content. So not just trying to make this more of a sustainable process for myself years going down the line, because I mean, dude, it's a lift. It's a lift to sit here and write about every single game, every single player, accounting for injuries. And it's something that I update in season. I'm legitimately writing probably about midday Monday all the way up till the wee hours of Wednesday night, a lot of times 2-3 a.m., which is a lot better, because in the previous 3 seasons before last year, 2 seasons before last year, that was me pulling an all-nighter every single Wednesday night. I went to the powers that be, and I'm like, look, I got to make this more sustainable for myself, because literally 2 years straight, it was me pulling all-nighters every single Wednesday night up until week 18, where I was writing all night, all day Wednesday, all night Wednesday, and then Thursday morning, I would still be up. I had a show Thursday morning, so I wouldn't go to bed until about 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock in the morning on Thursday morning. So yeah, it's a lift, but you know what? As they say, all good things are worth hard work, and anything given to you easy in this world, a lot of times it ain't worth having, dude. So I don't take any of this for granted, and work my ass off to get here and work my ass off to stay here.
And at the very least, maybe reduce the amount of Rockstar or Monster, Celsius, whichever one. I'm Celsius, but yeah, they see
Zero cal, baby, zero cal monsters.
I said
all the way.
Maybe reduce.
I'm not trying to get these boys a sponsorship on Monster at all. I just support good products. Monster, if you're out there, you want to hit them up.
Appreciate you.
Product placement 101.
Yes, I mean we know of DBRO that is heavily in season analysis weeks. Preseason, or whenever the redraft preseason kicks off, all the way through to about week 17, week 18 is some leagues still play week 18. I'm not sure why.
Oh, good Lord.
That's when you officially begin tracking the prospects, right? I mean, and you kind of feel like maybe you're, I don't know. I know you told us last season that you kind of you're playing catch up, right?
Yep.
Because of your commitments, because of your other responsibilities. Now you dig right in. You go head first. You're cramming through as much film, tape, data, and then you go right to Mobile. So the process starts for DBRO in Mobile, correct?
Yes, sir. So the good things of this year, during the NFL playoffs and stuff, basically once, like you laid out there, once the NFL regular season is finished, I go straight into prospects. So like you said, I'm playing catch up. I don't have the bandwidth. Wife, 3 kids. I don't have the bandwidth to also watch college football. And a lot of times on Saturdays, I need a freaking break. I need a day without football in my life. Kind of recharge the batteries and get ready for Sundays. So college is something I'm not imbibing the entirety of every collegiate season. So for me, every prospect go around, every cycle of the draft cycle, it's me playing catch up. And so once the end of the regular season, I've got from then until a week before, or about 3 or 4 days before Senior Bowl, to really, I started the lower end guys, and I'm not going to say the lower end guys, but basically whoever is attending Senior Bowl from a skill position aspects, a quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, if I can find all 22 on them, regardless, even if I can't, I'm writing up every single guy that is going to the Senior Bowl. Now the write-ups will change based off of if I can get access to all 22 for certain players versus not. But the aim and the diagram is to write up every single one of those guys, and I have positional primers that come out before Senior Bowl covering all the prospects that are at that event. And this year, I mean, dude, it's been crazy because it's not only been Senior Bowl, it's also been Fantasy Pros. We were at the NFL Combine. This is the first year we were covering it live from the Combine. I say first year because we are going back next year. I don't care who I have to twist their arms, pay off. I don't grovel at the feet of. I'm doing it all to make sure that we are back there next year for the Combine. So it's been wild, dude. Whether it's been Senior Bowl, Combine, trying to get into the deeper parts of this class and everything in between right now. But it's crazy. I feel like we've had so much of the NFL draft process, and there's still so much more to go.
Yeah. So you mentioned the Senior Bowl. Do you watch the Shrine Bowl at all?
I do. So the hard part for me, Shrine Bowl was right in my backyard. I would love to go to the Shrine every single year because it's right here, like literally a hop away from me over here in DFW area. The problem for me is, one, having the bandwidth to not only write up and cover all the guys at Senior Bowl, but also Shrine Bowl. That's a lot of freaking players.
True.
But the other part about it is they're smushed together in such a tight time window that a lot of times you got to pick and choose your battles because the most finite resource in the world in existence is time. So
right.
You mentioned the Combine. We're going to talk about the Combine, obviously, but let's stick in Mobile for a second or two. Give us some of the guys that really impressed you. We know that you saw that dude that you might be planting your flag with from Mobile discovered. Talk to us about Jalen Knoll.
Oh, dude, he's awesome. And he's done nothing but just check the boxes. I think if you're looking at the three biggest the 3-4 biggest winners out of Mobile, I think that conversation starts with Jalen Knoll, Jack Besh, Elijah Arroyo. Those are probably your three biggest winners from that week. I think Jalen Royals also walked away with a really solid week. But looking at all those different guys, man, I mean, I love Jalen Knoll before we went to Mobile and got a chance to watch him just route dudes up the entire week. I mean, if he lost a one-on-one, I must have been in the bathroom when it happened because I didn't see it, dude. He's freaking fantastic. And I keep talking about him. Then he goes and he smashes the Combine, tests like a freaking monster. I've said it before and I'll say it again, man. Look, I think he's going to play 50-60% of his snaps, maybe higher from the slot. But when you got a 41.5-inch vert, I don't give a shit if you're 5'9".
Right.
That plays up. You're talking about that guy has the vert of taller guys on top of him. So he's literally jumping to the heights of, okay, so what if he had a normal okay vert and he was 6 feet tall? You know what I mean? So when you got ups, you got ups, and he plays bigger than his size. He's stronger at the catch point. Again, I think he can play outside as well, depending on coverage and matchup and things like that. So Knoll, absolutely love that guy. He's awesome.
Okay, so what about, you mentioned Jack Betch. He's probably one of my favorite receivers coming out of the draft right now. And I know there's talk about maybe making it in the first round because he's
not gonna be first round.
There, I doubt that.
I doubt that.
But what about Higgins?
I love both those guys, man. And Jaden Higgins was another guy that I could definitely put on the winners column after Mobile. These Iowa State guys, man, they're freaking awesome, dude.
Yeah.
And I think they didn't produce because of Rocco Becht. I think they produced in spite of Rocco Becht.
Right.
Just watching the film and ball placement and all that kind of stuff. But freaking love Higgins, man. He came out and just blew up the Combine, crushed the testing. And I think the narratives around this class are not giving enough like love to a lot of these wide receivers. Like everybody talks about, oh, this is a bad class. It's not as good. And I'm like, based off of what, dude?
Exactly. It's not.
Based off of what? Like, what the hell tells people that this is a terrible class? Like, you don't have to have 5 freaking elite alpha wide receivers in a class for it to be a good class. And I feel like this is the part of what irks the ever living shit out of me is that the narratives are always so freaking strong every single year. Like the preconceptions about a class or what it has or they don't have and blah, 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 blah. It's just all this echo chamber stuff, man.
Yeah,
like Jane Higgins.
Like, you're mentioning Horton, Colorado State earlier.
Oh, yeah. Yep. I'm halfway through his film.
There's going to be wide receivers going to go in the 5th, 6th round. They're going to show out and show up this year.
I adamantly agree, man. Like with Higgins, he's got a 2nd round grade for me. Like he tested like a monster. He should go in the 2nd round of the NFL draft. And you know, whether you want to talk about the film or you want to talk about analytically, like we're still discussing a player that has been top 27 in yards per route run over the last 2 years. Yeah, that's talent. And we brought up Jack Besh. I want to give him his due as well. Like he played freaking fantastic, man. And I think the big thing about Jack Besh is I don't think his film and his analytics give him enough credence for how good he is. Whenever this is a player, and for people that are, you know, interested in the process, you're listening to this, you want to know about the prospects and stuff, and you're trying to play catch up like us or like anybody else that's, you know, just getting caught up with the NFL draft. The thing about Jack Besh that people need to understand too is when he entered college, he was a freaking tight end. So we're talking about a guy in 2021 at LSU, for everybody who wants to look at the stats and the numbers and stuff like that, started as a tight end and he converted to wide receiver. And I think that second level to his game, and I think that his days or skills as a wide receiver, the best days are ahead of him, because I still feel like he's still finding his way as a wide receiver. And what I saw in Mobile was a player that was a better, more nuanced route runner than even his film gave him credence that he can do. And he won in a variety of ways. It wasn't just like he won on in breakers, out routes, won from a lot of the things you'll see from guys that run from the slot. He also won on the perimeter. And in a variety of ways, like some of those wins, some of those reps, he won down the field, both with either late separation at the catch point, or by his route nuance and getting open early. So I like Besh. I don't think that he's not going to be like highly touted and things like that, but I think the kid can play. And I think he's still learning and growing as a wide receiver because he hasn't freaking played the position that much.
Yeah. It's funny. They did a sideline interview with him at the Senior Bowl. And the way he said, they asked about 50-50 balls, and he said, no, I call him 75-25 because I come up in the
damn right.
I was like,
damn, as he should.
This dude is a dog right here. Right there's like, okay, I'm planting my flag with this kid right here because he wants it. He's going to get it.
It's good attitude.
He's like 6'3", 6'4".
Yeah, and he is a dog, dude. Like that. Yeah. That's actually like looking at, where's my profile on him? The first sentence that I have written in my profile for him on FantasyPros.com, Besh is a dog in all caps. Like this is a guy, if you want a culture setter, you want a tone setter, you want somebody that's not only going to give you that 150% effort on run blocking, every rep, every down. Like that is Jack Besh. Like if you want to change the culture of your locker room, and you want guys, and I know he's going to be a rookie, but like how to model their games after, like you want to go out there and you're going to kick some ass, go stare at what Jack Besh does.
Yeah, he'd be a perfect Ram.
Yes, he would.
He would, and that's a show.
He'd be a good Chicago Bear too.
What about Ty Felton or Javier Restrepo? Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Xavier?
Restrepo? Yeah,
Xavier. Both of those guys had solid weeks. I'd say Ty Felton's getting a lot of love based off of what he did at the combine. I understand that. I still think that, like, if you look at him, how he's probably going to profile to the NFL, like, I don't love Ty Felton. He's got inconsistencies in his route running. He can struggle at the catch point. Like, he's not a my ball kind of guy. So really somebody that needs to route guys up and get easy separation because, when you're carrying a 5.9% or higher drop rate in each of your last 2 seasons and only a 38.5% contested catch rate, you better be getting open because you're not a ball winner at the catch point.
No.
So I don't love Ty Felton. Restrepo, I will say about Xavier Restrepo, I was much higher on Xavier Restrepo entering Mobile than I am exiting Mobile. I saw Xavier Restrepo get strapped up a lot there. Had problems separating in one-on-ones, and if you look at just how those drills and all those things are kind of the format of that, it definitely leans itself, like guys are playing off coverage.
That's interesting.
It leans itself a little bit more to wide receivers. So Restrepo, I think obviously he's going to be now, unlike Jalen Knoll, I think Xavier Restrepo is slot confined. The one thing about another thing I'll say about Restrepo, I mean, the dude he is built like a damn bowling ball. When you see him on the field, and that's another good thing about Mobile, you see how these guys are put together. And Restrepo looks like a damn running back. Like he honestly, like if you stand next to him, he looks like freaking Cody Schrader last year. Like it's all thighs, calves, and ass. Like the dude is just from like midsection down.
Right.
He's built, and you see why. Like teams are like, okay, we can put the ball in your hands, and you could break some tackles and kind of make some things happen because he's not Tez Johnson. A 5-mile-an-hour wind's not going to blow him halfway across the freaking field. So looking at that, like I like him, but I will definitely say after Mobile and seeing how he performed in one-on-ones, and I was expecting a little more quick twitch. I was expecting a little bit more route running. He did have problems separating. So I definitely bumped him down my ranks.
You spoke of Tez Johnson. There was so much hype coming about him going into the combine. And he ran what, a 4.5?
Yep.
But then the speed drills, the cone drill, is one of the best cone drill guys. He ran the gauntlet real good too. Mm-hmm. So there's mixed reactions towards him. So it's interesting. So it'll be interesting to see what he does for the pro day if he runs faster or what. What's your honest take on him? Do you think he'll be like still? Do you think he'll still be like a 3rd, 4th round, or?
I think he's probably going to be a 5th or 6th round guy. To be honest, dude, when you're his size, and let's just talk about this. He weighs 155 pounds. Yeah. Just in that context, nothing else. You don't have to talk about any other parts of his game, although we will. When you were 155 freaking pounds, if you hit in the NFL as a consistent producer, hell, even give you one really good season. If you hit once, you're an automatic outlier of outliers.
Right.
Like people that bring up like the Tank Dells of the world, the other like slight receivers that we've seen win at smaller frames and stuff like that. Let's just get this out the way right now. Tez Johnson is not Tank Dell. Anybody tells you that Tez Johnson is Tank Dell, they don't know who Tank Dell is. They never watched Tank Dell. They have no clue about Tank Dell. They have no clue about his game. Just post the Shaq gif and say, I'm not familiar with your game because you're telling on yourself. Tez Johnson is not him. He's not the route runner that Tank Dell is. He did not play on the outside. He's not going to play on the outside. Tez has a good analytical profile, but look, like, I'm sorry. He's on my avoid list. Like, I'm not touching him in Dynasty. No. If he hits and I look like a fool, congrats for Tez. But I'm not going to go down chasing outliers that were the film and the analytics and the size all screamed to me. And he goes out and he runs slow. Like, if you want to stack on top of all these other things that we need to see, like for him to be an outlier, also he's going to have to buck draft capital. Like, he's going to have to find the field and buck draft capital too. So it's like, you keep stacking the deck against a guy, like it just makes it harder to sit here and succeed and really break out, even if that is in the cards for him.
Yeah.
Jalen Royals, say his name. Yeah.
Oh, Jalen Royals is my dude. I love some Jalen Royals, man. And the thing about Jalen Royals that I really want to highlight to people is he went out he's still not 100%. And it's not the foot injury that ended his final collegiate season. It's not that. He's dealing with soft tissue stuff. I talked to Royals at the combine. I talked to him on Mobile. He was dealing with soft tissue stuff at both venues, but he still went out and tested, ran a 4.4, looked good in what he did. And he didn't do all the testing, but he did what he could. And if you turn on the tape for Jalen Royals, you see just a rack threat. Put the ball in his freaking hands, and he pulls away from dudes. And people will say, yeah, but it's Utah State. Well, dude, he's got speed. Speed plays up. Like, I don't give a crap if he's playing D3 against, like, it's beer league football. Like, I don't give a shit. Like, because you could still tell speed by watching the film. And so I'm not basing his speed off of the other guys that he's running against. So he's a rack threat. He could break tackles. He's strong. The thing about Royals that I definitely want to give the good people is that what I wanted to see in Mobile was, okay, no star prospect coming out of Georgia Military Academy, going to Utah State. Can you succeed against better competition? Because the slew of corners you're going to match up against in Mobile are going to be better, honestly, better than probably ever. That collection of corners is consistently a higher floor and better players than you have probably matched up there throughout your entire collegiate career for most of it. So how was he going to perform? And the thing that really stuck out to me about a player that was coming from a smaller school, lower competition, is that he was beating dudes consistently with his route running and that second level of nuance, like whether it's releases off the line, using inside leverage on end breakers, snapping it off at the top of your stem and selling your vertical push on out routes and things like that, or hitches. Doing those little things where it's like, oh shit, man, like you got some route chops.
Yeah.
And doing all of this because I'm going to tie this all together. Doing all of this while not being 100%. Like, so if he's winning when he's hurt and he's out there, what the hell is he going to do when he's 100% and he's got the afterburners kicked in and he can also use the speed to beat you? Because the way he was winning in Mobile was not because of the speed. It was because he's a damn good football player.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to two other players that were in Mobile before we move cities. How about Harold Fannin out of Bowling Green and Elijah Arroyo out of Miami? Now, the second one, the latter, is a little bit more interesting to me, only because we already spoke about one of his battery mates as one of his wide receivers in Restrepo, and then of course we're going to talk about the quarterback as well. So, what do you have to say about these two dudes?
So Elijah Arroyo, again, going back to, he was a clear winner, crushed it. Like, I was honestly surprised at Mobile. You'll see some guys. Go ahead, Shep. Go ahead.
No, so he won and he's a winner, but Restrepo didn't really give it to you.
No, Arroyo was a winner. Restrepo was not.
No, that's what I mean.
Yeah. So Arroyo looked awesome, dude. Like, he went out there and just looked like he was running at a different speed than other dudes, and he won one. Go ahead, Commissioner.
And he could play. He could play inside and outside too as a tight end.
Yep.
That's what makes that makes him a mismatch for when he gets to the pro. If he gets to a good offensive system where the offensive coordinator could scheme him, this could be a nightmare matchup.
Oh, I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. And looking at his game, I mean, he went out there, he was beating corners, beating linebackers in coverage. I mean, basically anybody that would line up against him, he's either too big, too physical for, and they couldn't hang with him, or he's too fast for him, or both. And so looking at Arroyo, like, one of the things that's pretty consistent about a lot of different guys that go to Mobile and they crush it in the process, and a lot of guys will get word while they're down there, they'll end up leaving after day 2 of practice. Usually they won't go to day 3 of practice, because a lot of times these guys, if they're doing really awesome, they're kicking ass and taking names.
That's it.
Then they're like, I'm out. Like, I've gotten word that I'm good. Teams wanted to hear what they'll hear, and we'll reconvene at the combine or private meetings and what have you. And I was expecting Elijah Arroyo to leave after day 2. He didn't do that. He stayed for day 3, but he looked like he was operating in a different speed, man. I think he is going to be a top 40, top 50 player. He is definitively not leaving the second round of the NFL draft. That's going to happen. So people just need to wrap their heads around that. He's the clear tight end 3 of this class, and there's a massive teardrop after that. I know we haven't talked about Fannin yet, but Arroyo is really freaking good, man. So definitely think he is going to be a really good guy in fantasy for us and stuff.
Yeah, big time. Especially if he gets the right system too, man.
Especially tight end premiums.
Now you brought up Fannin.
Tight end premiums.
I was not heavy into Fannin entering Mobile. I left the light on for him. He was kind of like my consensus tight end 5. I had concerns entering Mobile about what his raw speed was, how truly athletic was he, playing this tweener role. How athletic is he going to be? Because if you're playing this tweener role where literally you are the big wide receiver, transitioning that role to the NFL is so freaking difficult because teams, like, they have to construct their offense around that and have a real plan for how they're going to use you, because we've seen this archetype of players kind of hit and miss a whole lot. Like Mike Gesicki, who is a top 1% athlete in the NFL, has struggled to have consistent fantasy. Now I know he got the extension from the Bengals, but let's all truly remember what his career has looked like up to this point.
On the Dolphins.
Yeah, I mean, in Chicago, same ilk.
Yeah.
The one guy in this mold that has really just crushed has been Delaney Walker, a little bit shorter guy, but outside of that, a lot of these guys. I mean, let's be kind of rewind here for a second, guys. Let's just point to last process. What happened? What was everybody talking about with Jaheim Bell, and where did Jaheim Bell? What did the NFL tell us last draft process about that archetype of player? Okay, well, it fell flat. You know what I mean? It didn't pan out. And I think for the player that Harold Fannin is, I'm more worried that he gets Jaheim Belled than he gets a team that believes in him and he goes in the 2nd or 3rd round of the NFL draft. I think if he goes in the 4th round of the NFL draft, you can kind of keep the light on for him. I just look at him as having a very similar career arc as the guy that I comp him to, which I feel like he is legit 1-to-1. He's Isaiah Likely to me.
Oh, interesting. What do you feel of Gunnar Helm and Mason Taylor, who Mason Taylor seemed like the darling of the combine, and then the kid out of Notre Dame, Evans.
So I'll say
Mason Taylor, I've heard.
Yeah,
Mason Taylor. I'm not on the Mason Taylor bandwagon. I will definitively say that. I like Mason Taylor. I think the athletic stuff with Mason Taylor, based off of his movement skills, how he would test, because he didn't test at the combine, how he will test and stuff. I think a lot of that, it's smart for him not to go to the combine and test, because I don't think he's an upper tier athlete. And if you're looking at the tight end position is the most highly correlated to athleticism out of any of these other positions. Running back, wide receiver, quarterback, out of all of them. So you don't see elite. You don't see non-elite athletes become elite tight ends. That's not how that works. All of your elite tight ends in the NFL, just go down the laundry list of take the top 7 guys in fantasy points per game. Every single one of them is a stupid mutant in the gym. And I don't think that's Mason Taylor. I think he's going to be a trusted 3rd or 4th weapon in an offense. I feel like he can get open versus zone coverage. He's dependable. He's a safe target. Okay, none of what I just described sounds like a guy that's going to be a top 5 fantasy tight end ever in his career.
Right.
I just don't see that, dude. And the analytics bear it out. If I were to tell you there's a tight end in this class that everybody loves, that is the son of a former NFL player, and this is where he ranked in yards per route run over his 3 collegiate seasons. 63rd, 99th, and 94th. Would you be that damn interested in that tight end? No, nobody would be.
I'm not interested.
But that's Mason Taylor.
What about Gunnar Helm? I know came out there, he was hurt.
I love Gunnar Helm. I just need him to test good. Please, Gunnar.
He came out there, he hurt his ankle
Yeah, he did. He sprained his ankle, did everything else. And when I saw that post come out, because I swear, Andrew Erickson got tired of me saying this the entire week. Like, after he goes out there and he ran a 4.84, I was like, he's not that slow. He's not. He's not slow.
No, he's not.
He's not. Like, I don't think he's a burner and he's running 4.5 or anything like that. But I think Gunnar Helm can run a 4.7. I think he can run a 4.7. You can run a 4.7. You could be fantasy relevant. You know, it's like Oprah handing out 40 times. You get a 4.7. You get a 4.7. You get a 4.7. You get a 4.7. And you get a 4.7. If you can run a 4.7, you could be fantasy relevant as a tight end.
I think that's the dude that I quote tweeted off of somebody else's like negative post that he ran a 4.7, and I said, all right, so he's closer to 5 seconds than he is to 4 seconds.
Yeah, I mean,
like hello, like I'm sure he's going to try running a 4.7 tenths of a second. Hello. This is a great question here, DBRO, and it's pretty timely. Hey guys, in a 1 QB, no tight end premium, PPR, I have the 106. I got the 109. Would you draft Caleb Johnson or Colston Loveland at the 106? I could get a tight end at the 109, but
tight end premium, I'm not doing that. I'm not going tight end. Okay. And I will say also that I am lower than consensus about Colston Loveland.
Oh, Caleb.
Oh no, I love Caleb. Caleb's my RB.
Oh, you're lower on Judkins.
Yeah, Judkins is not my guy. Judkins is not.
We'll get to that.
But Loveland, I like him, dude, but I don't love him as much as everybody else. Like, and it's not like I don't think he's a bad player, but I think he is more archetype, tweener, like, you know, however we want to talk about it. I feel like he's more in that archetype than a lot of people want to talk about. And it's not, again, we know that if he's cashing paychecks, Colston Loveland is cashing paychecks in the NFL based off of what he does as a receiver. But if you look at the other peripherals as a receiver, people talk about him as a wide receiver, and they're not wrong. But in that conversation about Loveland, his analytics look more like a receiver than they do a freaking tight end. And in a lot of areas, they don't look great, man. Like, we're talking about a player that only 5.4 yak per reception. Colston Loveland, Shep, if I were to tell you how many tackles in his 3 years at Michigan do you think Colston Loveland broke? How many missed tackles did he force in his 3 years? Just give me a number.
Ugh, in 3 years, how many missed tackles?
15, 20? I mean, somewhere around there, right?
I would hope.
You would hope. Colston Loveland, in 3 years at Michigan, Colston Loveland forced 8 missed tackles. That's it. 8. So I really like the kid, and I think he's talented, but there are drawbacks to his game. He's not a mauler with the ball in his hands. He's not going to give you a shit ton of yak. And he is more of a tweener variety than a lot of people. Like, you have to have a plan. You could play him in line, but that's not going to be how he cashes his checks. So I think that there is only one tier 1 tight end in this class, and that is Tyler Warren.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't take Loveland at the 106, going back to the question.
I
would draft Caleb Johnson, and in a 1 QB, no tight end premium, my 10... What do you have? The 106 and the 109. My 109 would probably be probably a Marion Hampton, but he probably doesn't fall that far. It'd probably be Jalen Knoll if he goes in the 2nd round, or Matthew Golden. You know, pick your flavor of that wide receiver tier.
Matthew Golden gaining steam. And here's a follow-up. I could take Warren too. It depends on landing spot for me, though. Loveland to the Chargers would be better than Warren to the Colts.
Well,
it's
so
all about,
I was
landing spot, isn't it? I mean, like,
I do bet on the talent. How many years do we have to do this stuff with the landing spot stuff? where they're really good landing spots. Okay, everybody loves this guy, and the landing spot isn't as great as everybody thought, or he gets pushed to the side by another player. But my whole thing about this is, we cannot look at landing spots like it is a unchanging, definitive, known variable to the equation for the next 3 seasons, not just even the next 5 seasons. That shit changes in one off season. You get a new head coach, new quarterback, everything. It's totally different.
I stand corrected. Even going back a small while. I mean, okay, so like Malik Neighbors' landing spot wasn't ideal, and yet he
Didn't matter.
Down Brian Thomas. Yeah, so like yes, in that respect, we should be betting on talent as well as factoring in landing spot.
Remember what everybody talked about the bad landing spot for JSN? How much different does that look right now as we are recording this, as opposed to what it did when he was drafted?
True.
They talked about the same things about AJ Brown. Did it matter? No, it didn't matter. You draft by talent. Don't worry about the landing spot, because the circumstances with all of that can and do change. We see how much turnover with the NFL every year.
And I tell myself every night until I draft.
Yep. Bet on talent, bet on talent, bet on talent, bet on talent.
Right before I go to bed, I'll say my prayer, then I'll say bet on talent.
Yeah, you light the candles, you turn on the sweet Kenny G, you turn the lights down low, and you just say bet on talent.
You don't listen to any Kenny G.
Oh hell no.
No.
I mean, come on, I got a guitar here. It's all metal all the time, baby. That's how I'm rocking.
JSN is overrated. See this deer
sniper, go by. No,
this deer doe of ours, just continuously goes against the narrative. She likes to buck the trend. All right, let's I want to go to a couple of dudes. They're quarterbacks. We know that they didn't test. We know that their names are Shedeur and Cam. Give us your professional opinion. I mean, all right, let me stop. The narrative that those two quarterbacks would still go after last year's Bo Nix in that order. Do you agree with that or disagree?
I disagree with that.
You disagree with that? Okay.
I think that Shedeur, Cam Ward, and Jackson Dart are all better prospects than Michael Penix and Bo Nix. Maybe that's a hot take. I don't know. I'm just telling you what I think. They're all better prospects. All three of them. Yep. And yes, I said Jackson Dart is a better prospect than Bo Nix was and Michael Penix was. I said it.
Right, baby. All right. Now we're cooking with something. I was watching a little bit of Cam Ward. Granted, a highlight package of 15 minutes, and it's going to be it was really all positive. But let me tell you something. I was impressed. He looked good. I mean, he's like, number one, he's got a freaking cannon.
Big time cannon.
Number two, he's got fantastic pocket awareness. I thought that was what really jumped out at me as well. Like, he was able to feel around. He knew pressure was coming from this way, coming from that way. He stepped up to the side. If he could harness that, if he could, recognize that pocket awareness as a pro, because obviously it's going to be different. What are we talking about here? This Cam Ward will be better than, I think, what we see out of CJ Stroud so far, and that's a little crazy, but certainly maybe Anthony Richardson. So I'm going back now 2 classes. Yeah. I think Cam Ward can be special. Now, take it away. Let me push it back.
I don't disagree with you. I think that he's got the highest ceiling out of anybody in this class, dude. Like, I like Cam Ward. Cam Ward, the reason, so my rankings sit as I've got Shedeur Sanders as my QB1, Jackson Dart is my QB2, and Cam Ward is my QB3. Now, I just talked well about Cam Ward, and people will say, well, then why the hell do you have him as your QB3? I look at these top 3 quarterbacks this is a choose your own adventure. Choose your flavor of ice cream. Which one do you like? And Cam Ward, for all the high-end moments with Cam Ward, he looks like a difference-making quarterback. He looks like a Pro Bowl level quarterback. He looks like a guy that if he hits his absolute ceiling, he can come in and we could be talking about next year about how Cam Ward's a top 7, top 8 quarterback in the NFL. If he hits a ceiling. If the problem with Cam Ward is I see a lot of Caleb Williams moments where he feels like he needs to wear the Superman cape every single damn down. And there is a lot of erratic stuff with Cam Ward. Cam Ward, the consistency down to down has to improve. He will go on cold streaks. He will get rattled. His ball placement will escape him, and he'll throw behind receivers. He'll get hung up on progressions, and that is the wide range of outcomes of what for Cam Ward. If he hits his ceiling, he will be a top 7, top 8 quarterback in the NFL. Bookmark that. My problem with him is he is not as clean of an evaluation as Shedeur Sanders and Jackson Dart.
Okay.
He's just not. And now, if you want to take the ultimate home run swing, then Cam Ward is your guy. If you want the guy that can play from the pocket, do off-script stuff, has the best ball placement out of anybody in this whole freaking class, then your flavor is Shedeur Sanders. And I do not. Hold on. I need to get myself ready for this. I need to stretch. I don't want to pull anything. I'm not as young as I once was here. All of the narratives around Shedeur Sanders are absolute and total, unbelievable amounts of bullshit. He does not have problems with his arm. His arm is strong enough to make every single damn throw you need in the NFL.
And he drops it in a bucket also.
Dude, his accuracy is freaking nasty.
Yeah.
Like he will put the ball. It's the same thing I said about CJ Stroud. It's ball placement porn, dude. It is just highlight reel stuff where you are like, oh my Lord, how did you put it there? And that kind of stuff matters. The difference between you hitting a guy in the numbers, throwing accurately, throwing with anticipation, and hitting guys in stride is the difference sometimes between a 40-yard gain and a 60-yard touchdown. It's the difference between a 15-yard gain and you getting smacked behind the line or something. You limit yak opportunities for your wide receivers when you cannot throw them open or throw them in stride. It's a truth. And Shedeur Sanders is accurate as all get out, man. Yeah. He's a very, very good quarterback, and he's a deserved top 5 pick in this class. If he slips past that, then some team is getting a steal. And, I could sit here and wax poetic. I don't know, if y'all want me to go on a Jackson Dart rant, but again, talking about like narratives and this quarterback class and all this other kind of stuff, it's just like people get so ingrained in their narratives, and you're just like, what do you want? Like, I don't understand what you want out of these kids and these prospects sometimes.
No, we want you to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers' next quarterback, please.
Jackson Dart.
Yeah.
Jackson Dart. If they're smart, it's going to be Jackson Dart.
That's what I'm afraid of, that they're too smart.
If he makes it there, I'll say that also, because I've heard stuff consistently throughout the entire process from various people, and I'm not claiming to be Ian Rappaport. I'm not claiming to be Adam Schefter. I'm not claiming to be Jordan Schultz. That I'm not. I'm just telling you what I've heard trickling around, and is that Jackson Dart will be a top 15 pick in the NFL draft. And I've said that for weeks, and now you're seeing more people are coming around to it. Now, Jackson Dart is going to go in the first round, and Jackson Dart's going to be top 20. He's going to be top 15 in this class, and he deserves to be. He deserves to be. I don't care about narratives. I don't care about any of that crap, man. What I care about is that Jackson Dart plays on schedule. Jackson Dart is a very nuanced player. He can play both from shotgun and he can play in the pocket. His footwork is pretty freaking good, man. His deep ball is awesome. He can layer second-level throws. These are all things you need to do as an NFL quarterback. Some guys come into the NFL, they can do it, and some guys can't. Jackson Dart can. And he's also
RPOs too.
Back it up. Like, I just don't understand, like, why, if he's not a first-round pick, somebody's going to have to tell me why. Because I'm looking at a player that last year was top 12 in passing grade, adjusted completion rate, yards per attempt, big-time throw rate, adjusted completion rate from a clean pocket passer rating. Top 12 in all of those metrics, and we're talking about a player that can create off script, and he offers you scrambling ability. I didn't say rushing ability. I said opportunistic scrambling ability. But apparently that's not worth the first-round pick.
But he can rush or he can run. He just kind of like Shedeur Sanders. They say he's not fast. He's not bold. But if he chooses to run, he chooses to run. He picks his time.
Yes. I don't disagree with any of that.
Smart way of doing it,
I mean, go ahead. Sorry.
For two questions here. First, do you think because of how much people are talking about the running back class, tight end class, that the receiver class and quarterback class are getting pushed down. The narrative's getting pushed down because of that.
Yeah, I think to a certain extent. And I think we do this with every class to a certain extent too. Like the closer we get to the NFL draft, people like when the draft is a far off entity and it's on the horizon, you can't really see it, but it's a small silhouette, and you're like, "Oh, that's the NFL draft for 2026."
Yep.
And as it comes closer into the frame, people are like, "Oh, it's beautiful, it's wonderful." It's kind of, I don't know, it's getting uglier. The closer it gets, it's getting uglier. I don't know. The narratives are what pushes us every single year, man, and it's just like last year, such a terrible, terrible running back class. Oh, okay, because Tyrone Tracy didn't happen. Oh, that's okay, because Bucky Irving didn't happen.
Right.
That's right. That's sorry. I missed all of that. We're so ingrained in what all these narratives are that I push back against this shit every single year because I'm like, okay, let's look at this objectively. The tight end class is good. But the top 3 of this class are really good. Now, none of those players, I think, are truly, truly elite, like to the level of a Sam Laporta, Brock Bowers that we've seen come out in the last few years. Maybe Tyler Warren ends up being that, but he's the only one that I could see like getting into that range. So, like the tight end class, I think is actually worse than what a lot of people think it is because of testing and because of how I look at these guys. The wide receiver class, I think, is miles better than people are giving it credit. And the quarterback class, dude, if I'm telling you I got 3 quarterbacks with first-round grades, my question is, okay, to be a good quarterback class, how many guys got to go in the first damn round? Because every year is not 5 first-round quarterbacks.
And how many first-round quarterbacks actually pan out, too?
Yes. The jury is still out on Michael Penix. We don't even know if he's going to be good.
Yeah, let me give you three names, quarterback names that I'm really interested in: Cook, Slaw, and McCord. What do you think?
No, I know the last one. What was the second one?
Oh, Shuck. Tyler Shuck.
Shuck.
I say it wrong.
No, it looks like you should say it show. I said it like, but it's Shuck. And the best way I could tell people at home, and I said this in the Senior Bowl, Chuck is gonna, I'll let you finish that sentence.
Okay.
So, Shuck, looking at these 3 different guys, I like Tyler Shuck. I've said that from the beginning of this, and people make their jokes, and they say, "Oh, Tyler Shuck has been in college since Justin Herbert, and he was his backup." And Tyler Shuck is older than this guy or this guy. He's 25. He's 25. Right. He's not 30. He's not Brandon Whedon. Okay.
Oh my God, that name. Holy cow.
I just like, okay, we can have a conversation. If he's a wide receiver, running back, tight end, whatever the position you want to talk about. If he's 25, okay, fine. Let's have a conversation about it. He's a quarterback. If he's actually any good, he's still playing for the next 10 to 12 years, dude. So, like, I don't care about that. Don't care about that at all. Tyler Shuck is a player that I think probably should go somewhere around round 3 of the NFL draft.
Right.
I think he's a better prospect than a lot of people give him credit for, although I've heard a lot of people have kind of gone the other way, and now they're talking about him and putting him in a light that I don't think he can pay off on some of the hype that he's getting by some of the people that are over the moon and saying, okay, maybe he's QB2 or QB3 of this class. Like, okay, let's not get it twisted. Let's not get crazy here. I have him as QB4, and I think he's QB4 standing in a tier by himself.
Interesting.
He's got some erratic moments to his accuracy. There are holes to poke in his game, but there are also really good moments where the ball placement's pretty damn good. He can make throws from multiple arm angles. We saw how he tested. He can offer you something as far as mobility. There are some Matthew Stafford moments to his game. Now, am I comparing him to Matthew Stafford? No. But there are times when you're watching his film and you're like, oh, shit, that was a really nice off-script play. Yeah. He just threw it around a guy from a 3/4 angle. Not everybody can do that. So
he's quietly good.
Yeah, I like him. I'll be taking some shots on him in third rounds of rookie drafts. No doubt.
Yeah.
Super flex formats. Yeah, let's go. And who are the other ones that you mentioned? Brady Cook,
McCord,
I haven't watched too. I haven't got his film yet.
McCord and Cook.
Okay, and so Brady Cook, I haven't gotten to yet. I'm getting to his film probably middle of next week. So I'll say guys that I haven't watched and stuff like that, I'm not even going to sit here and talk out my ass on. But with McCord, I like McCord. I don't love McCord. I think McCord he's more of a game manager to me. Like, now, some of this I will say, I didn't have access to his all 22 for Syracuse. I'm still trying to get that. So what I'm basing it off of is when he was at Ohio State in 2023. And so with that, it's a lot of like first read stuff, a lot of underneath routes. He's got good arm strength, but not amazing. Like when he's really got to chuck a go route, like 40, 50 yards down the field, you see him like it's a full body effort, and a lot of that is like he's trying to basically ramp up the RPMs and get the ball there, and some of that sacrificing ball placement at times when you're doing that, when it's like, holy shit, all right, he's down there somewhere versus easy velocity. It looks a little bit different and your precision's a little bit different. So
Right on. Let's get to the running backs. I want to ask you to start, bench, and cut one running back. I know it's difficult. Yeah, I know. Tell us why.
You make them leave, man. Don't do that.
Come on. Give it to me. Let me hear these names.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to say Genty. How about out of Trayvon Henderson, R.J. Harvey, and Omarion Hampton?
Right now, I'll start Omarion, or I'll start Trey. He's my RB3 of this class. I'll bench Omarion, and I'll unfortunately have to cut R.J. Harvey. And I'm just looking off my ranks here. Like Trey Henderson is my RB3. I love him. He runs like a pissed off Tasmanian devil.
Yeah.
He's so freaking fun to watch. I mean, he's lightning in a bottle, dude. Omarion I have as my RB4. Now I know I'm below consensus. Everybody thinks I'm an Omarion hater. It's not, dude. He's in my tier 2. It's pick your flavor again. It is, which brand of big running back do you like? I like Caleb Johnson more than Omarion Hampton, but are they cut from the same cloth in a lot of ways? Sure. But I don't think Omarion, despite how he tested, that type of athleticism, he's more of a linear runner. You don't see his ability to create yards for himself and break tackles and create bad angles for defenders as much as Caleb Johnson. So, tying not only like the testing stuff, because come on, guys, if you've been around the block a few different times in this whole process, there are guys that do not play up to their testing. And there are also guys where it's like, oh, I was told Puka Nacua was slow. I was told Cooper Kupp was slow. Like, there are also guys that play better and play faster than their testing too. So, yeah, I mean, for me, R.J. Harvey is going to be on the outside looking in. Now, I love R.J. Harvey, and I hate that you put me in this situation.
Well, I mean,
R.J. is my RB5.
Running back, see?
Yeah, I mean, R.J. is my RB5 of this class, and I think I'm above consensus with that. Like, I love that kid. And again, going back to the age narratives, he's 24. I don't care. Yes, I know he's 24. If you expect, we are playing Dynasty in a 2 to 3 year window, and you are looking at every single running back is, I want you to be productive as hell for your rookie deal. So you get 4 years. If you get a second contract, woo, let's go. Most guys, unless you are super elite, don't get that. So I don't care if he's 24 right now. Yeah, sure. He'll be 24, 25, 26, 27 in his 4 years on the rookie deal. Cool. That's great.
Could be one of those Raheem Mostert types.
Oh, R.J. Harvey, my comp for him is
Aaron
Jones.
Oh, Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones.
Speaking of which, Aaron Jones still trucking along at, not the exactly young 24, 25 nowadays.
Yeah, he had one of his best seasons last year.
Interesting.
He had one of his best seasons.
No, Shep, he's too old. He's too old. He can't be any good anymore. He's too old. You got to worry about when running backs are 28 and they're terrible. And Aaron Jones just rocked his age 30 season and said, shove it.
Why does draft capital matter that much more for this position, or should it?
It matters in the sense of you get more opportunities to prove teams wrong. And you are going to get more chances to get volume, to get opportunities to either prove whether you deserve to have been that second-round pick, third-round pick. Basically, if you're looking specifically, then we could dice this up a few different ways.
Yeah, I know. I know.
With running backs, if you go in the first or the second round, you should be considered in the first round, you're going to be a full-time starter in your rookie season. Second round, you're going to be in the mix to be a 50 or 60% snap player. You might be the bell cow in year one, or you're at least at the very bare minimum.
You're knocking on the door.
The heir apparent.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? We've seen that a lot too. So the first and second round, we know that's money. Third round is where it's like, okay, then we start talking about landing spots. Then we start talking about in the mix to be a starter. Nothing's given, nothing is handed to you. In the third round, you got to go out, you got to earn it, and you got to prove it over multiple years that not only do you deserve that job, but you got to keep the job. Now, the fourth round and afterwards, all bets are off. It comes down to talent, opportunity, landing spot, and the other sly thing that I don't think the Dynasty gamers specifically still give enough credence to is coaching. Coaching staffs matter.
You get changes.
Well, dude, you get these day three guys, and the guy that I'll mention and why I was not going out and trading for him anywhere, if I could get a really good deal on him this offseason, then I was trading him away, but I was not going out there trying to acquire his services in Dynasty, and I'm still not, is Tyrone Tracy. Was he awesome last year? Yes. But we would be singing a very, very different conversation if Brian Daboll was not the head coach of the Giants anymore after this year. Or what if he wasn't even the coach this year? Tracy's dynasty stock would be up in the air and everybody be freaking out. Dude, he's a day 3 pick. He's only had 1 year, not even the full season as a starter. And now we got this monster running back class. For everybody out there that does have roster Tyrone Tracy, the other thing I'll tell you right now is you need to trade him right now because the other thing, what if the Giants take a running back in round 3 or round 4? What if that happens? It could happen, dude.
Go ahead, Sheperd.
Well, I was going to say also, I mean, when you're drafting somebody in the 5th round or day 3, the contract isn't the same. So it's like, you might become expendable in just that alone, where like, okay, now the following year, let's go draft another running back. Like Kyle Shanahan does it almost every year. It doesn't matter. They keep drafting running backs each year.
Remember what happened to James Robinson? He was really good, and then they had a coaching staff change, and then he wasn't the dude anymore. Like, how many guys do we see that happen to? Michael Carter. I loved Michael Carter, and then the Jets said, yeah, we like Michael Carter. We don't love Michael Carter. But that's the same story for a lot of these day 3 running backs. So it's like, if you go in round 1, round 2, lock set, let's wheels up. Let's go, baby. Yes, BD, James Robinson did tear his Achilles, but he was on his way down even with the coaching staff change anyway, man.
So do you think a lot of these day 3 running backs will make good third down backs, 2-minute warning backs? Because it seems like this class is pretty good.
There's a lot of them.
There are a lot of this is another reason why I'm not going to say I'm higher than everybody on this running back class, because I'm not higher. Everybody loves this running back class. But I will say that we are living in a day and age of the NFL where I used to talk about this over the last, up until the last 2 years. It was, if you are sub 200 pounds and you pan out and you're a workhorse, you will be an absolute outlier, because the NFL had told us that over the previous 5 to 10 years. But the thing about it is that the NFL has also now said, hold my beer, and Austin Eckler, Jahmyr Gibbs, Bucky Irving, Kyron Williams. I mean, the list goes on, guys, of sub 200-pound backs that are James Cook that have full workloads and are RB1s in fantasy. So we need to toss that out. So in that idea, I love an entire archetype and tier of running backs in this class. Like, I freaking love Rashard Smith. I love Marcus Yarns, Jerquez Hunter, Jaden Blue, Trevor Etienne. All of those guys are in that 190s-esque build. They're slasher backs, or maybe they run a little bit bigger than their size and stuff like that. But all of those guys have true pass game utility. And that's the thing where it's like, dude, if you want to, I want to live in a world where Rashard Smith or Marcus Yarns or Jaden Blue are a team believes in them like the Buffalo Bills believe in James.
Right.
You know, like let me live in that world, because all these guys are super athletic and they're pass game weapons.
Let me give you a name, because I love this kid. I love this kid, Woody Marks.
Woody.
I like Woody Marks. I don't love him as much as anybody else.
He runs angry, man.
He does.
I love him.
What about Scatterbo?
I'm not a Scatterbo guy.
No, you're not Team Scatterbo?
I'm not, because tell me this: if Scatterbo goes to a committee and Scatterbo doesn't get 17 touches a game, what is Scatterbo doing for you if he doesn't, unless he has the goal line role? He's probably going to give you a lot of games where it's 12 for 40 and you're praying he gets into the end zone.
Right.
So like Scatterbo is a player where it's like, if somebody told me Scatterbo went in round 2 of the NFL draft, fine. Then a team is saying you are going to be our workhorse running back. But I don't think that's going to be the case. I think Scatterbo probably goes round 4, maybe round 5, considering the depth of this class. And if he goes there, I'm not that in, man, because again, the draft capital talks, and as deep as this class is, I mean, bro, give me RJ Harvey, give me Bashal Tootin, give me DJ Giddens, give me Devin Neal, give me Brashard Smith over Scatterbo. Even I'm not that high on Quinshon Judkins. I'll take Quinshon Judkins all day over Scatterbo.
Okay,
you just mentioned Neal. He's another one too that just has
three down guy. He could be a workhorse.
Yeah.
Where is Trayvon Henderson, and why not Judkins? Like, what is it about these two, other than the fact that they play from the same team? They played on Ohio State.
Trey is my RB3 of this class. He's in my tier 2. Quinshon Judkins is my RB10. I don't see what everybody loves about Quinshon Judkins so much, man. Like, I honestly, like, I get he went to Ohio State. I get he scored a lot of touchdowns. I get he ran for 1,000 yards. Can we also have a conversation? I get he tested good. I understand all of that. His film, I don't love it as much as everybody else. I think that he's got a compact build. I think he's honestly a 1-speed runner, man. Like, he gets up to top speed. He doesn't have a home run gear. He can create some yards for himself, but I think he's a linear runner. He needs a runway to get going and stuff. And for a player that also, like, going back to the analytics, should I be over the moon for a player that over the last 2 years has ranked 121st and 82nd in yards to contact per attempt? He's ranked 41st and 128th in breakaway run rate, and he's also outside of the top 65 running backs in FBS in elusive rating. Like, what out of that analytical profile says, holy shit, he should be my RB5? I don't see it, man.
When you're doing what you're doing and stuff, and the process of ranking them, do you look at strength of schedule for these running backs, or any of the players? I
used to, but I feel like there's a lot of context that can be lost in that. Like I could say, okay, he produced versus a good run defense, but if the running back was behind, like you could splice that one of two different ways, because running backs, even if you were like a freaking super elite monster, okay, you still only can do what your offensive line is allowing you to do as well. So, like, let's play both sides of that coin. say a guy goes up against a top 5 collegiate run defense. Okay, what if the guy's running behind a top 3 offensive line in college? Okay, then he has a good day. What are we taking out of context of that? What if he's running behind a bottom 5 offensive line in college and he's got a guy, 1 to 2 guys in his face as soon as he gets the ball put in his stomach? How is he going to succeed if that's the case? Or, like somebody with Ashton Genty, like if they loaded up the box and he goes 25 for 85 yards, like, are we knocking him because they said, screw you, Boise State, we're not going to let Genty beat us? Like, we shouldn't.
Yeah, see, because when I was doing, we did our little show about ranking and stuff, and I have Trayvon Henderson as my RB1. Just because he, to me,
I mean, I love Trey. I'm not going to fight you on Trey. I love him.
And this is my theory is the fact that, okay, if you took Junkins out and he had the ball 80% of the time, his numbers would have been better.
That's fair. I guess my only question,
schedule, which I probably shouldn't.
But my only question, Rhino, is this: what do you think his volume looks like in the NFL? Do you think he can be used as a 15 to 17 touch guy, or is he going to be in that 12 to 14 range? Because I think weighing both of those things, because Ohio State was very deliberate in their use of the Trey, and I don't see him as I don't see Trey Henderson, considering his injury history. I don't see him as being even a Jahmyr Gibbs guy where a team is going to feel comfortable feeding him 15 plus touches, maybe upwards in the 20s on a weekly basis. I think he's going to be in that realm where he's capped both to maximize his explosiveness, the lightning in the bottle, and keep him healthy. But where do you sit with that?
I think if he was getting 17 to 20 carries a game, I think he's a 3-down back.
Do you think he gets that in the NFL? I guess is my question. Do you think a team does that with him, or do you think he's pigeonholed?
I think if it's a team like the Bears, the Raiders.
Okay. You think they would feed him like 15 to 18 opportunities a week?
15 to 20, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's where that's the glorious thing about all of this. It's like, I'm not going to sit here and say, holy shit, how do you have him there? Because at the end of the day, we're all weathermen. We're forecasting weather people. We're forecasting, and we're going to get a lot of it right, and we're going to get a lot of it wrong. And anybody tells you that they're batting 1,000 is lying out there, like they're lying through their teeth to you. So that's not the reality. So I'm not going to sit here and say anything is really like just outlandish and insane, because we don't know. You could be right about his workload, and maybe I'm wrong. Who knows?
I mean, Caleb Johnson ended up being RB1 out of this class.
What about this dude in Denver?
Who, Trey?
Yeah.
I mean, I would love him in Denver. I would absolutely love him. And to Disco's question here, I'm pulling up the first round of teams. I do think Trey goes in round 1. If he doesn't go in round 1, I mean, I'll look at a few different teams. But, I mean, tell me, I don't even care if Trey Henderson goes round 1. I'll give you this. If Trey Henderson goes as the 33rd pick in the second round, or overall, excuse me, like
close enough
to the Browns. If he goes to the Browns, I love it. Like, put him with Jerome Ford, give him 12 to 15 opportunities, let him go freaking ball. You know what I mean? Like, I honestly, maximizing his value, probably, I would say, looking at just like team fits, run scheme, all that kind of stuff, opportunity. Cleveland, the Giants, if they were to take him at the top of the second round. Vegas, if you want to sit here and put it with Raheem Mostert.
And Chip Kelly's is the OC there.
Yep. You can put him in Chicago with the 39th or the 41st pick. Let him be the 1A and DeAndre Swift be the 1B. I wouldn't hate any of that. Put him in Dallas. Put him in Dallas in the second round, because all they have is meat shields. All they have is placeholders. Miles Sanders and Javonte Williams are not starting this year.
I think
that's all they are. We see teams do that every year, where they sign some trusty veteran to a 1-year deal, and they say, well, if we strike out in the draft, this happens to also be a Dallas conversation, coincidentally.
Dallas,
if we strike out in the draft and tell everybody who we're going to draft, then we still have guys that can carry the rock. Hello, Jerry Jones. We see that every year. So, like, I think that's also good signal to kind of tell you what running back or what teams could do. Oh, God, there's Gollum. I always call Jerry Gollum because he looks exactly like, if anybody's seen Lord of the Rings, like he's going to pull out a ring. I mean, he's in there clutching those 1990s rings. Oh, the precious in his office.
I kind of feel bad. I kind of feel bad
for Jerry.
Yeah.
Are you a Cowboys fan? How the hell do you feel bad for him?
I want to see them do well. I don't know.
Oh,
so do I, but
Jerry gets to lay in the penny pinching Scrooge McDuck money bed that he has made for himself. I don't feel bad for that dude at all.
I tell people he has Al Davis syndrome.
I feel bad for Cowboys fans.
We mentioned the Raiders a little while ago. I think Uncle Pete's going to draft Genty.
He could.
I think he's going to go get his Marshawn.
He could. I personally,
just a prediction. It's low hanging fruit, actually.
If I were the Raiders, I would take Ted at 6, and then I would go running back shopping in the second round. Like, give me Ted and Omarion or Caleb Johnson in round 2. I would much prefer that.
With the running back class, do you think there's going to be a lot of teams going to double dip, trying to be like the next Detroit Lions
or the Green Bay Packers?
Took Aaron
Jones.
I think they definitely could. I think you could see. Nobody feels bad for Jerry. I'm sorry, Shep. That if anything has been said in this show that's a hot take, it's feeling bad for Jerry Jones. I mean, you could see teams double dip. I could see the Cleveland Browns doing that. I mean, their whole entire running back depth chart is no man's land, basically, because they don't believe in Jerome Ford. They've said that. Denver, if they wanted to wait on the position, I could see them double dipping. I could see who else? I could see the Bears double dipping because honestly, they don't have as many needs as they had before. If there's any teams or if the Giants, so it's like the Giants, the Browns, and a few of the other teams I rattled off. I could see any one of those double dipping. Just depends on where and when.
Yeah.
All right, D-Bro, you've given us 1 hour and 15 minutes. I can't get you out of here until you tell us about at least 2 or 3 wide receivers. At least 2, please.
We still got a few things to talk on this show sheet, bro. Yeah, you got me for as you need me, okay? Bro, like I'm okay. I'm okay right now.
This fucking guy, I love him. Ted. Well, all right. You know what? Since you said that, let's start with Travis Hunter. What is Travis Hunter?
Ooh.
Why is this dude? How is this dude this special? And I mean, like, he's going to be a DB first, correct? Or is he not? Or is he just playing with us?
I will be absolutely transparent. I have not watched Travis Hunter's tape yet.
Right.
But this is why. I have pushed him to the end because Travis Hunter, I think he's going to be a cornerback. I don't think we're going to get a full-time wide receiver and fantasy player. If that happens, cool. Yahtzee. That's awesome. That's great. Okay. I don't think that happens. And let's try to get the math to math here, boys. Okay. If you were going to play a player, so I don't think it's within the range of outcomes of the realm that he is a true full-time player and does not come off the field ever, that he is playing a full-time role on defense and offense.
No, that's...
But I know. But since we can all shove that to the side and say, well, that is definitively not going to happen. So let's look at what is in the range of outcomes for Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter... Are you going to play him at full-time wide receiver and then part-time cornerback? Well, why the hell would you do that? You're not going to do that because if you were going to do that, then you also you have another CB he's rotating with, and you don't have a true starter on the perimeter because we're not putting Travis Hunter as a nickel. So how does that work? Okay, well, that math doesn't really math, okay? Because that's not what's going to happen. So then let's look at the realistic outcome. He plays full-time snaps at cornerback, and he probably plays 15 to 20 snaps at most at wide receiver. And when he is on the field, they are feeding him a steady diet of crossers, easy plays, schemed up targets, things like that, to where they can maximize the 15 to 20 snaps and Say he gets a 33% target per route run rate. Okay, let's math that. 15 routes, he's got 5 targets. Okay, cool. He just gave you more offensive output than probably like he's your de facto wide receiver 3 in certain packages. Okay, awesome. That's great. And he's your starting cornerback. That's probably what you're getting in fantasy. And to me, that's the Taysom Hill of wide receivers. It's like we can all play out these scenarios of if he goes and he is a full-time wide receiver and he plays no defense, you are projecting. None of us know that shit. And if you want to math it and say, how does this actually work and look in the NFL? One side of that coin of him playing wide receiver and part-time cornerback makes absolutely no damn sense.
Go back.
One side of that coin makes him a risky dynasty pick no matter where you want to pick him.
Go back to look at Charles Woodson's film. He's Charles Woodson 2.0.
Okay.
Charles Woodson was a better DB than receiver, but they had packages for him at receiver.
Yeah.
So he'll probably, I think Hunter will be like 80-20.
Yeah. And Charles Woodson had a grand total of 2 NFL catches and 1 rushing attempt in his career.
I'll see your math, and I'll raise you one. And I believe it was either Albert Breer or somebody on Rich Eisen's show. And so I didn't come up with this idea.
All right, you're saying that the Cleveland Browns that they saw him as a wide receiver?
Well, no, the other way around. It's more like they think. Based on like what you're saying, let's math this out. Well, they're saying also logistically speaking, it's going to be a lot harder for him to be in the DB's film room and working on all that.
See,
if he's going to be playing more wide receiver, he needs to be more with them as he does with the wide receivers, where he could just get an X amount, a small amount of packages.
I love that you brought that up. That's the other part of this that a lot of people, nobody talks about, is the other part about this is that we all talk about the transition from the college game to the NFL and how much of a learning curve these rookies are impacted by. Okay, cool. Let's talk about that then. So you're saying it's a large learning curve when we ask one guy to play one position. What if you're asking him to play 2-3 positions? He needs to know the entire defense and the offensive playbook as well. There's only so many hours in the day. What are you expecting out of this kid? And the other side of that is, if you play him in this realm, how are you maximizing his value on either side of the ball? If anything, you're nerfing it.
If he declares wide receiver, if he's hell bent on playing wide receiver, it's going to be harder for him to get onto the field to be a defensive back, to be a cornerback and play a full-time role there versus the other way around.
He had a wonderful quote at the combine, and that'll stick with me forever. Somebody asked him at the combine, they said, have NFL teams talked to you about return duties, like returning punts or returning kicks? And he looked at the person in the crowd and said, bro, I've already got 2 jobs. I don't need a third. And I was like, oh shit, that was such a good answer. That is such a good answer.
Well, I mean, I don't have any doubts whatsoever that the kid is talented beyond anything.
Disco's point, that's actually where I'm going to mock Travis Hunter in my next mock. He's going to Jacksonville, I think, at 5. I've already bet that too. You can get that at DraftKings right now. I think it's plus 550. So.
Why is Tet a freak? Why is this dude doing Vince Carter in between the legs, all off the ground, one hand, and this dude is just displaying an unbelievable athleticism. And back to your point, D-Bro, this wide receiver class is supposed to be underrated. I mean, based on just what we're seeing from this dude's clips, he looks like a home run to me.
Dude, he
looks like a home run.
I don't understand why we can't just talk about Tet that he is an elite wide receiver prospect. Why can't we just talk about Tet people will comp Tet to Drake London, but then they say, oh, he's not really that elite of a wide receiver prospect.
Because he's tall?
So you mean the same Drake London that was drafted top 10 in the NFL, draft, and once he finally got a quarterback, caught 100 balls in a season, I guess Drake London sucks. But let's all comp Ted McMillan to Drake London, but then in the next breath, we're all going to say he's good, but he's not that good. It's just, it's lunacy to me. Ted McMillan should be a top 10 draft pick in this class. He should be. I think he probably is. I mean, the dude is awesome. 6'5" wide receivers should not be able to move the way that Ted McMillan does. He is the closest. He was such a hard damn comp, because the reality is like I just said, receivers that are as big as him don't have the short area agility and the burst and the yak ability that he does. I love Drake London, but Ted McMillan moves at a different speed once he gets the ball in his hands. Drake is a damn good wide receiver and a true X, and he's going to catch another 120 balls. I think he probably catches 120 balls next year and has an even better season. But that's a story for a different day. But Ted McMillan is going to come in and compete to be a team's number one from the word go. If I am New England, I am not drafting an offensive lineman. I'm trading down a few spots. I'm taking Ted McMillan and I'm loading up on BPA at the offensive line on whatever. Take your next pick. Take your next 2 picks. Fine. But give Drake May a damn wide receiver 1.
I think Disco would love that. How about this one from him? Let me ask, out of all position groups, who is the one perfect prospect that a team will be grateful to have for the next 10 years or so?
Oh, jeez. For this class? You got to go to the 2 elite prospects in this class. I think the easy low-hanging fruit of that is Abdul Carter and Ashton Genty. I think both of those guys. I love Genty, man. I think he deserves every bit of the elite talk and generational stuff and all that kind of crap. Like, he is going to lock it down for the next 8 to 10 years. And I know it's running back. I don't care.
Okay. Yeah, Abdul Carter. I'd like to see the Titans draft Abdul Carter. Therefore, Cam Ward will, I guess, go to the Browns, maybe. Go to the Giants, maybe. But I don't want to see Cam Ward on the Titans for some reason. I don't.
I think any of those top 3 teams are fine.
All right. How about Lex Luthor Burden, Matthew Golden, Isaiah James Bond? Talk to us about these guys. Emeka, Ohio State. Now, I don't think of Ohio State and running backs in the same sentence. I think of Ohio State and wide receivers.
The wide receiver youth. My dude Brian Hartline has got those guys coming out absolute prepared with route chops, baby.
I mean,
shout out to B Hart. That dude is awesome. Does his freaking job. He is awesome. He gets these kids prepared. And this is another reason why I hate the narrative of this wide receiver class is not that good. Egbuka is legit a JSN Keenan Allen clone. Mm-hmm. He goes in the top 2 rounds of the NFL draft. He's probably getting somewhere in the range of 120 targets in his rookie season. But apparently that's not that good, right, boys? Like, that's not that good in fantasy, and we really shouldn't be talking about these wide receivers, apparently. So Egbuka, he is my wide receiver 2 in this class. No, he's my wide receiver 3 in this class. We haven't gotten to my wide receiver 2 in this class yet. But I really like Egbuka. Who are the other guys you went through?
We got Golden, we got Burden, Trey Harris. How about Trey Harris?
The ankle breaker.
You're big on Trey Harris.
I could talk Trey Harris for days.
I know you love Trey Harris.
I think the 2 big ones that we both need to talk about is why am I lower on Luther Burden than consensus, and why do I freaking love Trey Harris?
Yeah.
I love Trey Harris because Trey Harris is a damn dog. I love Trey Harris because Trey Harris is an awesome route runner. I love Trey Harris because Trey Harris is awesome when you look at the analytics. Like, we're discussing a wide receiver that last year was not only a top 20 in yak per reception, he was also first in yards per route run against man coverage, first in yards per route run overall. He's not a one-year wonder, so if anybody tells you that, they're talking out their ass. Because in 2023, he was 9th in yards per route run, 6th in receiving grade, and 18th in yards per route run against man coverage. Like, he's got upper body strength. He offers you tackle breaking ability. He offers you rack. He can produce with the ball in his hands, and he's a freaking route runner for days, dude. Like, he sets up corners. that I absolutely love Trey Harris. He's my wide receiver 2 in this class. I know I teased it earlier, but he is my wide receiver 2 emphatically in this class.
He breaks ankles. He breaks ankles out there.
Speaking of quotes from the combine, he had the most amazing. He said, one of the things that I love about the game, and I'm going to butcher this. So everybody head to my timeline and search on X. I know the search function sucks these days on X, but anyway, try to search Trey Harris Soul Snatcher. He had the most amazing quote come out of the combine that he told me. That he loves to line up against cornerbacks and steal their souls.
Yeah.
It's just, I freaking love that guy. Like, that's the kind of mentality you want from your wide receiver.
Yeah.
Like, I want to ruin him. Like that, dude, you're an alpha. Let's go.
I want to embarrass the shit out of you.
And he talked about that. He's like, he's like, stealing somebody's soul and talking shit on the field is what I live for. He's like, why would I not? You know? And I'm like, that's a dog mentality all day, every day, dude.
Matthew Golden.
Matthew Golden is a route technician and really damn fast, dude. I will be honest. I got to revisit. I've watched him and wrote him up. I need to revisit his tape because I will be 100% transparent. I didn't see that type of speed on film my first pass. I thought he was going to be in the 4.4s. I just didn't see blinding speed. So, like, I've got to go do a film revisit on him and see, okay, are there more games in all 22 that maybe I didn't have preview to when I made the first pass, as well as just going back to his film with a fine-tooth comb. I like the kid. I think that he wins. He reminds me of the conversation we had around a certain prospect that came out of the wide receiver U a few years ago, where we talked about he's really, really fast. He's not huge, so I'm not saying he's slight, but in that like 6 foot 190-esque build that we like wide receivers, but not going to be a catch point winner. He's fast as shit, but he wins with route running. And it kind of led me to my comp. I mean, like, Matthew Golden is just Chris Olave 2.0 to me.
Do you have another wide receiver, Rhino?
No.
We got it, yeah. Oh, DBRO. Let's hit the free agency. Free agency frenzy. All right. How about Sam Darnold to JSN? Are you not in love with that move?
I'm not in love with the move.
Priceless.
I'm not in love with the move, and this is why I'm not in love with the move. You saw Sam Darnold and what he did in the final 2 weeks of the regular season. At currently, as it's constructed, even let's paint a rosy picture and they get 10 to 20% better. Let's be really kind here.
Yeah, now with Cooper Kupp.
So what does Sam Darnold do behind the Seattle Seahawks line this year? Do we feel good about that?
He sees ghosts.
Sammy Darnold that loves to hold the ball, loves to put himself in trouble by not playing on schedule. Do we really love that? Because, I mean, really, that's what's crushed Geno the last 2 years, and their line doesn't look fundamentally any different. So it's like, I just, the archetype of quarterback, like if I was going to be the team that went out and paid somebody, if I was Seattle, it wouldn't have been Sam Darnold. But that, that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, because their offense line is ranked 29.
Yep.
So if it's 20% better, it'll be what, 25?
I mean, still we're talking about a bottom 5, bottom 10 line in the NFL, like, and we've seen it destroy Geno Smith over the last 2 years. So, like, and we feel good about that.
Yeah, and they could draft O-line and then hope and pray they work out, but that sometimes doesn't always work out,
Oh, dude, and O-lineman, you want to talk about people say, the draft is such a mystery and it's a black box kind of affair, and you don't know, like, the hit rates on pass rushers and all these different. Bro, go to the hit rates on offensive linemen. How many offensive linemen where we're like, yeah, baby? Like, teams are like coming out of the draft, they're like, we drafted a first-round tackle. And then 2 years later, they're like, and he sucks. Yeah. Like, that happens all the time, dude. There's such a hard position to evaluate, and it's big people doing big people things, man. And some of these guys, like, they work out, they don't work out, they move from tackle to guard, and then holy shit, they get with a good coach and they're good. Like, hello, Mekhi Becton. Like, offensive line is incredibly hard to evaluate, dude, coming out.
Mekhi Becton, former Jet. Who's worse of a team? or organization, the Jets or the Saints?
Oh dear
I say the
Lord!
Browns.
It's the Jets. It's
the
not even.
Jets.
But and
No.
I will
glad you
say
said that.
I am objectively. I do not have any bias. I am a Saints fan, but I have
I'm glad you said that.
no preconceived notions about the Saints and how they operate and stuff like that. I have said I have disavowed my fandom until they get rid of Derek Carr, and then I will return to being a Saints fan whenever they actually have a long-term plan at quarterback.
But that would be like 31, 32 worst NFL franchises currently or presently constituted. They have to be. They just
I mean, the Jets
close.
are a mess, dude. Like
the Jets are a mess. Let's stick. The Jets are a mess.
We don't need to
it's very much like the Cowboys. It's systemic. It starts at the top. Well,
meddlesome owner 101.
It starts at the top with the Jets and Woody Johnson, and until he gets out of the way.
Disco's not wrong. Cardinals are pretty bad too. Their owner is total fun.
They're up there.
An asshole.
They're up there for sure. But they did sign a quarterback. They gave him a $30 million guarantee for 2 or 3 years. Justin Fields. Do you like that? I mean, like Justin Fields to me. I mean, look, we know that he's athletic. If they, like the Jets that develop quarterbacks, if they come up with a plan for Justin Fields where they utilize the athleticism and maybe like take half of the field away from him, it might work, but I'm not optimistic.
I mean, his contract screams to me, and I just looked because I was very curious about what the details of his deal are, because you could look at these deals and say, okay, this is a lot of times in the media, they will get puffed up in the dollar figures because the agents want it to sound big and the players want to, be like, oh, it's up to 66 million. Oh, it's actually 50 million.
Yeah.
So going and looking at what his deal actually looks like, he's going to be the starter for the next 2 years for the Jets. He will be their starter. So this is not a 2-year deal. It's really just a puffed up 1-year deal, and the team can get out of it after this year. He will be their starter for the next 2 years. Now with Justin Fields, from a fantasy perspective, I'm going to tell you right now, he is going to be the best value on boards walking into fantasy season this year, because he's going to be ranked in the mid to low end QB2 range. And he will be, knock this down. Just clip this. He will be a top 12 fantasy quarterback this year because of his rushing. He will be, because guess what? That's what he's done every other year of his freaking career, man. So it's like, he's gonna be drafted as a mid-range QB2, and he's going to produce as a QB1. And I'm not telling people that it's going to look the prettiest. I'm not telling people that he's going to be throwing for 300 passing yards a game, but the guy's going to run the damn ball. He's going to have probably the best offensive coordinator that he's had up to this point. Yes, I know he had Arthur last year. Arthur has his own moments of dumbassery, so let's not give Arthur Smith too much praise. But you're talking about they're probably going to instill motion. This is a similar offense, or we're expecting a similar offensive system that's going to have play action, motion, a lot of things that Justin Fields has not gotten. He didn't get that with Matt Nagy. He didn't get that with Shane Waldron. He didn't get that with Arthur Smith. The play action, yes. The motion, no. He runs static formations. So like Justin Fields, yes. QB9 in 2023 in fantasy points per game. QB5 in fantasy points per game in 2022. What is so dramatically different in New York that is different than what happened in Chicago when he was a top 10 fantasy quarterback? What is different? He's going to be a top 12 quarterback. Just lock it in. It's going to happen.
And Breece Hall, where would you rank him? Breece Hall should be a value this season, no? He's not going to be drafted in the first round this year. We know that much.
I think he's got a lot of volume. Like, I mean, maybe the receptions take a hit and stuff like that, but he's going to be an RB1. Like, I don't look at Breece as being somebody that, like, people are going to enter this and being over the moon. So, like, I think a lot of people, the consensus take is going to be something very similar to kind of like the Jonathan Taylor conversation of last year. Oh, he's going to get a lot of volume, but doesn't Justin Fields hurt him? No, Justin Fields is going to help them field a more efficient rushing offense.
If they're moving the ball, that's right.
Like, he's going to be like Breece Hall, fine. Like, where he goes in drafts, like, I don't know if he's going to be a value or he's going to be appropriately priced. He should be somewhere in that, like, RB12 to, RB7-ish kind of conversation. It's totally fine.
Well, we'll see. How do you feel about Najee Harris moving over to the Chargers?
I just updated my redraft rankings. Right now, early again, we got prospects to land and all that kind of stuff. But first run through it, he's my RB16 for next year. He's going to get a crap ton of volume. And I mean, J.K. Dobbins was the RB18 last year. At their points of their respective careers, who do we say is the more talented player right now? Najee or J.K. Dobbins? I say it's emphatically Najee. So if J.K. Dobbins in this offense, and J.K. Dobbins doesn't catch passes, Najee, we've seen iterations where he can catch dump offs, he can catch passes, he can be involved in the passing game. Like, if J.K. Dobbins was RB18 last year, then why is Najee Harris not going to outproduce that? Somebody's going to have to tell me that. So I think Najee is a rock-solid RB2, assuming that they don't add another running back in the top 3 rounds of the NFL draft. Then I think Najee's going to get a shit ton of volume. He's going to catch some passes. He's going to be a top 15 running back. And maybe if everything falls right, like he scores 12 touchdowns versus like 7 or 8 touchdowns, maybe he's an RB1 this year.
Are you warming up to Caleb Williams now a little bit? I mean, the Bears, nope.
No, I'm not. Like,
still not.
Dude, he's got. Tell me this. What in the best?
He's not even warming up to him yet.
In the best. Okay, but hold up. In the best of expectations for Caleb Williams, what is anybody hoping for? You can't be hoping that he goes from honestly one of the worst rookie seasons that we have seen in recent memory for a quarterback. You cannot put it on Caleb Williams that any of us think he will be a top 5 to 7 fantasy quarterback this year. You can't. Not based off of what he showed and how much he struggled in his rookie season. You cannot put those expectations. So in the best of circumstances, what are we hoping for Caleb Williams? Probably to be a low-end QB1 in fantasy. And I would much rather not make that bet based off of one of the worst statistical seasons for accuracy that we have seen out of a rookie quarterback in the last 5 to 10 years. Like, if he takes that leap, fine. What if he ends up with second-year Trevor Lawrence and fine, whatever. He's a QB2 or whatever. He's just in that scrum of QB10 to QB16. Pick your flavor.
I mean, if they didn't get this head coach in there, and if they didn't already start making offensive line improvements, I think we might.
The offensive line wasn't the biggest problem for Caleb Williams last year. Caleb Williams.
No, it certainly wasn't the biggest problem, but I mean,
Caleb Williams was the biggest problem for Caleb Williams.
His decision making. His decision making was definitely questionable, but a lot of it was also
dude, it wasn't just his decision making. It was his accuracy was buns. We're talking about. Okay, let me read you off this list for Caleb Williams. Okay? let's just talk about. Okay,
Rhino, we'll never be able to win the argument here.
You have no. I'm just gonna throw this out.
No, I'm with him though.
These are the three quarterbacks that had. The only 3 quarterbacks in the NFL that had a lower catchable target rate than Caleb Williams. And tell me if you think this is a gangbusters list. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, Anthony Richardson, and Desmond Ridder.
Hold up,
let me go down through this. You had 11 quarterbacks with higher off-target rates than Caleb Williams. Anthony Richardson, DTR, Ridder, Levis, Trevor Lawrence is in there. CJ Stroud is in there. Aiden O'Connell, Brissett, Winston, Mac Jones. That is the list. So how good should we feel about Caleb Williams entering his second year?
Okay, I'm
asking a question.
I know. Well, I mean, look, again.
How are we feeling good about him outside of vibes?
All right, let me ask you this question. Is Ben Johnson a quote-unquote whisperer of sorts? Or is he a very good play caller, play designer for the quarterback? What's Ben Johnson's utility supposed to do for Caleb Williams, if anything?
I mean, it's going to help, but the question is, how much does it help? How much does it help? And for all of the play calling and scheming, the other part about this is, and the big problem for Caleb is play on time, play on schedule, get the ball out of your freaking hands. And can you take a step instead of holding onto the ball and trying to be Superman? Can you just play within the structure of the offense? But that's just the down to down stuff with Caleb. That's not even talking about his mechanics last year, his inaccuracy, and all those types of things. That's without even talking about how horribly inaccurate he was as a quarterback. And it's like, Ben Johnson can maybe fix some of that. Does Ben Johnson fix all of that?
No. They do that year 3 at the quarterback school where Anthony Richardson is right now. That's what they do. That's when they do the mechanics again. I get it. That's why I said, are you warming up? And you gave us the answer, and it's perfect as far as I'm concerned. All right, I saved the best for last. The best. Okay, how are we feeling about our guy, Puka Juice, now that he's got the pretty much a Hall of Fame wide receiver playing with him? Another Hall of Fame wide receiver.
You asking Tim or asking me?
Both.
Go ahead, Rhino. Kick us
off.
All right,
wait, man. You already gave me your answer.
Go ahead, Rhino.
Right? But yeah, say it again.
Puka's gonna have a great season. Puka might win the Triple Crown this year, just because of the fact that Devontae Adams is there. Devontae Adams is going to help him Devontae Adams is going to help him even more than Cooper Kupp did, because Cooper Kupp was great, but Devontae Adams is next level, especially separation.
Yes, sir. I agree with everything you just said. Puka Nacua was the wide receiver 2 in fantasy points per game last year. Stafford has shown he can support multiple weapons.
Yeah.
We know this. This is a condensed offense. I do not care if Devontae Adams gets a 27% target share, if Puka Nacua gets a 30% target share, because who else is drawing targets? There is no other high-end target earners on this offense. This offense is going through a monster heaping dose of Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams. And if we truly believe that targets are a result of talent, it's a result of getting open, it's a result of they are earned, Puka Nacua is out targeting Devontae Adams this year by a healthy margin. And this is no shade to Devontae. Devontae is still a very, very good player. Devontae is not elite anymore. Puka has shown, dude, like he's that guy. Like he's been that guy. And now you want to even throw in like the rapport with Stafford going back to last year and 2 years of rapport with Stafford. Like Puka Nacua could lead the NFL in receptions this year, and that's not crazy at all.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Just gotta stay healthy. And that's a damn cliche.
Well, last year was the first time he was injured.
Well, I mean, you're injury prone until you're not. Remember all these narratives about Keenan Allen and all these other players like Hunter Henry and all these other guys. Like I don't subscribe so much to like the injury prone narratives about players and stuff like that. So like I believe because here's the thing, if he stays healthy, what is he going to do? So like I can't be betting for the rainy day and saying, oh, see, he got injured. I told you he was going to get injured. Ha ha. Like I'm not doing that game, dude. Let's not play that game.
No, I know. No, I'm with you. Maybe I'm just saying. No, like if we get the
people do that, like they will get on the clock and they'll say, but the injuries and you know what I mean, like that's a real question, and a lot of people talk about it. I just don't
like okay, so like I'm most likely not going to use that as a determining factor for somebody of Puka's age, but somebody that's like 28, 29, 30 years old in a different round, then that might wait a little bit more. That's all.
Yeah, it's a different conversation. I don't disagree with you.
Someone at 23, for crying out loud, it's like, okay, so
like if we want to talk about splitting hairs between Cooper Kupp and some other wide receiver 3 this year, then fine, let's have that conversation. I don't disagree with you about that. Or T. Higgins versus another wide receiver 2. Like, are you drafting T. Higgins or are you drafting Devontae Adams this year? I get it. Like, okay, fine, Devontae.
Facts. All right. Did we miss anything? Anything at all? Anything? Is there anything that you want to talk about that's just burning deep down in that belly? I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you, Rhino.
What's your take on? Because I don't like it at all. But what's your take on Geno Smith going to the Raiders?
I'm fine with it. I mean, I think he's going to be a QB2. The big thing about Geno is this is going to be arguably the best offensive line he's played behind in the last 2 years. So if you look at Geno from a clean pocket, like Geno has been perfectly fine. He's been really good. His deep ball was really, really good. He's had no blocking in front of him. I think the big thing for the Raiders is they got to figure out what they're going to do on the offensive side of the ball. Like I said, if I was the Raiders, I would be going out and I would be drafting Tet McMillan at 6 and then getting a running back in round 2. Right. Or if you feel if they can't sign Gene into an extension, then I say draft Jackson Dart in round 1, draft a running back in round 2, and go get you another wide receiver in round 3. Fine, you can do that in this class. But like giving Geno another weapon or 2, I feel fine about Geno. I think that offense is going to look very different before we get to week 1 than it's currently constructed. I think they add another weapon or 2, and then we're talking about Jacoby Myers. We're talking about a running back. We're talking about Brock Bowers, and you're like, oh, man, like this actually looks like a pretty decent offense on paper.
We drafting CMC in round 2? Or is the curse of the cover going to carry into 2025?
No, I think it's the curse of 400 touches. It's the curse of insane amounts of volume adding up to a running back that's not 23, 24 years old, or his name is Derrick Henry. I think that's really the, outside of the Madden stuff, I think it comes down to like, eventually volume catches up with players, and it is what it is. Like, I don't want players to get hurt, but it's tough to, how many times have we seen this, guys? You get 400 touches and things pile up. You're maybe not the same guy the next year. Now, could you be? It's possible. But in a lot of different iterations, we haven't seen that. Like what happened to Josh Jacobs after the year that the Raiders ran him into the ground? What happened to CMC after the 49ers ran him into the ground? Like those things do pile up. What happened to DeMarco Murray when the Dallas Cowboys ran him into the ground? Derrick Henry even showed a little ding in the armor after years and years of getting ridden with the volume. So, it does play into it.
Ergo, Bijan, that sign, then Barkley, correct?
I think Barkley's the one that you worry about there. I'm not so much considering the age and because I also think to a certain extent, like I feel like I sound like I'm talking out both sides of my mouth, but like I think health and the ability to proven track record with some players because of size, like that the ability to handle volume and to hold up under that type of pressure and workload and beating and stuff like that. That is also a skill. Like Derrick Henry being just a mountain of a man is more equipped to handle that than other players. But I think Barkley is really the guy that in that conversation where it's kind of like, okay, look at the age. If you peek under the hood, his efficiency metrics weren't that good last year. So I think he's the guy that you worry about if you worried about anybody.
I think that's why he went out and got AJ Dillon because of that.
Yeah,
and they got Will Shipley. They like Shipley, so
I've never heard of the curse of 400 or 370, 400 touches having any bias. Saquon, he's absolutely freak elite, takes care of himself, absolutely, so on and so forth. But I don't know.
Saquon had a really, really good year. Like, if you want to talk about all the box score stuff that he did, but I just want to throw these numbers out there for people. Out of 46 qualifying running backs, yes, Saquon was 4th in explosive run rate. But if you look at the other tackle breaking metrics for Saquon, it's not amazing, dude. So again, at 46 qualifying running backs, he was 28th in missed tackles forced per attempt, and he was 35th in yards after contact per attempt. Now, so his explosive ability and his long speed did him a lot of favors, but we also need to have a conversation that elite offensive line did him a ton of favors. He had the highest yards before contact per attempt of anybody in the NFL. Like, we were literally talking about Saquon Barkley got 3.5 yards down the field before he was getting contacted on average. 3.5 yards is like the yards per carry for some damn running backs.
Yeah.
And you're talking about, so he's built up 3.5 yards of momentum behind a top 5 offensive line in the NFL before the first person is touching him. So, like, yeah, like, look, I love Saquon, but like, we got to keep it a buck here and like be honest about like, okay, what does everything else look for him?
That's why I'll draft Gibbs and Bijan Robinson before I draft him.
Yep, I agree with that. Or I would make the bet on, just wait on Derrick Henry and just make the bet that,
yeah,
guess what? Derrick Henry's an outlier and he does it again in 2025. Okay. And water is wet. Cool.
I can't do that. Maybe there'll be other managers that do that, but I haven't drafted Derrick Henry in years expecting him to fall off. So just when I actually do pull the trigger finally, or not finally, but like at this stage in the game is when he'll fall off. So I'm not touching that. That's all right.
Disco, don't you out me. I know water is not wet. I didn't expect you to out me in the chat here. Okay.
Oh,
I know that. And grass is not always green. Okay. Just so we're keeping it 100 here.
All right. Well, guys, I think that's going to be it for this show. DBRO, before we let you go, please share with all these wonderful people that have been watching this stream, just again, where they could find your work, how to find your work, all that stuff on YouTube, all over the X. Do it one more time.
It's all under the Fantasy Pros umbrella.
Yep.
The NFL Draft Show is on the Fantasy Pros Dynasty feed, so go check that out. I'm on both shows. I'm on the Dynasty feed. I'm on the draft. I'm co-hosting the Draft Show, which shout out to Brett Whitefield is going to be our guest this week to talk the top end of this wide receiver class. That episode should be out on Tuesday. And the rest of the written work, all the video stuff, everything in between is all at Fantasy Pros, boys. And if you're on the betting angle, follow me on Betting Pros on the app. I will be betting NFL draft props if these cowardly books ever decide to post them again.
Oh, my friend, dedication, professionalism, passion. That's just what makes you the 1.01. Really does. From there, and not that this would even be close to accurate, but even if you got 1 or 2 or 3 takes wrong, it wouldn't make a difference because it's you.
Oh, I will. I'm going to get a lot of things wrong, but I will get a lot of things right this year.
We understand that part, but it's because of those other attributes is what makes you a unique and special individual. And I thank you very much.
I actually got a really quick question now because I'm looking in the background. Is that a luchador mask in the background on the shelf?
Yes, it is. That is from. So that the funny story about that thing is last year at the Expo, one Mr. Pat Fitzmaurice and myself. The shout out to Mr. Gutierrez, Mauricio Gutierrez, that does all of his amazing content over at NFL.com Espanol. I love Mauricio like a brother. We did a luchador walk from the hotel to the event where they were having for the Expo. And so me, Patty, and a bunch of other people all walked there in solidarity. At the end of it, I gave this sweaty mask back to Mauricio. And I thought it was just because it was sweat ridden, and Mauricio was like, "No, you can keep it. It's okay." I was like, but to be honest, Mauricio is just a kind-hearted individual. He gave me that, and I was like, "Oh, this is going in the backdrop, baby. It's definitely going."
Yeah. Were you asked what a luchador is? See?
Yeah, I was.
He's a luchador is a Mexican, pretty much a Mexican wrestler. They're high flying.
Rey Mysterio, the GOAT, baby.
Oh, it's right up your alley.
Look up Penix or Rey Mysterio.
Michael Penix?
No, Penix.
Because that's the Penix I look up.
You see some highlights if you start watching luchadors, boy. Man, dude, it's some good stuff. The cut-ups are awesome.
Everything else, Rhino?
No, sorry, that just saw that.
I thought you were gonna. I thought you were gonna maybe. I thought you were maybe.
There's a lot of stuff in this background.
I thought you were maybe gonna ask about the guitar, like what kind of guitar it was.
Yeah,
and you picked out like this one item. It was like Waldo there.
Because
there's a whole lot of items.
I know. I see it almost every night. Don't get me wrong. I know it, but
I'm a WWE fan. That's
Oh, let's go. That's good stuff. Shit. I used to watch wrestling all growing up. I haven't been into it as much recently, but definitely I've watched a little bit of it recently. Rhea is awesome, and a few of the other people. Cody's good.
Yeah.
All right, T-Bro. We appreciate you.
Appreciate you guys, man. Thank y'all for having me.
Thank you.
This is awesome as always, man. Good talk, good people. What more can you ask for on a Friday night?
Yeah. A beer right now.
Yeah, that's fair. Crack one open in a second.
That's fair. All right, guys, if you're still with us, before we take off, it's the road to 500 subscribers. We appreciate you. Please like, please subscribe. We will see you again next week. As you can tell, my voice is already far worse than it normally is. But what a fantastic, fantastic show with that man. God almighty.
It's a national treasure right there.
It is a treasure, absolute treasure. Absolute treasure. And look, we're fortunate. We're very, very fortunate and lucky. But we will continue to sing these praises. We will continue to, of course. I mean, this is what we do. I mean, like when we this is our resource. This is our resource.
Yep.
All right. So again, want everyone to have a wonderful evening. Thank you very much for attending, for listening, watching, subscribing, and we will see you again next week. Thank you.
Yeah. Make a difference, be a difference.
Make a difference and be a difference.